best graphite miners on the ASX have put on 46 to 69% over the last month. Looking at graphite stocks on the ASX that have shot the lights out, led the market higher, put on huge gains, and put on great trading opportunities for those shorter mid-term traders. Whether they're swing traders or intraday traders, these are the stocks that are moving. These are the shares in play. This is Final Market Points, where we're looking at surfacing the leading market thematics, like we have here with graphite, graphene, and graphite-related companies, the leading market themes, and then ranking the top performing companies so we can identify the best stocks for better trading. When we're going to jump in here, it's hard to look at the graphite companies on the ASX without RNU, and we will look at RNU in more detail, which is the chart on screen at the moment. That's a daily chart with a 200-day, 50-day, and 10-day moving averages, and the volume bars down the below. But we're going to start off at number 6, which is another large name on the ASX when we're looking at the graphite and battery minerals on the ASX. Looking at SYR, great trading company, huge volume, good turnarounds, good intraday swings, and we do see a nice consistent movement in that demand for the share price and that volume and changing hands. SYR, we can see position number 6 with that 46% return over the month, 11% for the week, 60% for that quarter. Looking at those last 3 months, coming out of some nice lows in October, rounding that dollar, bang, getting up towards 2. That's 134% for the quarter for some better ones, but 60% for SYR, 56% for the year. Bringing it out for 2 years, you can see the runs that it's put on the board and why many traders have been really backing and trading this company, watching on their watch lists for these movements that it saw throughout 2020. 2021 also had some good strong movements, but a bit whipsawy. Here we have the volatility contraction pattern. This is a VCP. What Mark Minervini uses in the volatility contraction pattern helped him get to his fame and fortune of winning the US Trading Championships 3 times. Applying that same approach, you can click on the link in the description below or that we had on screen of how to walk through the download of the book summary. We're looking for this contraction. Think the basketball dropping, bang, bang, bang. It's tightening each time. Each drop is tighter and smaller until we end up having a higher low, and then it rallies here. Now, we don't get much of an opportunity because what Gilmer Rallies and Chris Kacher call a buyable gap up. Massive movement here, explodes out of the gates on the open. Massive euphoric volume on that gap. It's trading halt in the next day. Then has good positive volume to keep that rally alive to where it is today. Doesn't give you a great opportunity, but if you're early and you're trading a Wyckoff Spring, you can see some entry here. The volume is a bit low in December, so that's a hard one to trade. Good luck to you if you're able to pick it because it's a VCP or a Spring and one to look at. Moving on up to QGL. When we have a look at QGL, we're going to see recent listing. 12 cents getting up towards 20. Good movement. 22% for the week, 48 for the month, 134 for the quarter, and 134 for the year. That tells you a reverse IPO or other ways coming to the market. So we can't really take these two figures into account when we're looking at the recent listing. We've just got to look at the week and the month, and we can see it's been a solid movement throughout this period. IPO coming on low, underscoring, getting under the 12 cents, and then shooting back up, climbing towards 20 cents. That's what QGL is putting on the boards at the moment. That moves us on up into LEL. That's Lithenergy. 20% for the week, 51% for the month, 64% for the year. For the quarter, we should say, again, we're going to try and get this chart over the side because Iris doesn't want us to be behaving right now. So we've had QGL, looking at that, the recent IPO, but we want Lithenergy here. This is putting the picture to the percentages. We saw the waves happen in the lithium stocks that we looked at on Monday, and we're seeing these waves again. The wave of investment excitement. The share price moving, the volumes are high, drifts and wanes and pans out for a higher low eventually. Coming close to the 50-day moving average and regaining momentum with what Gilmer Rallies and Chris Kacher call a pocket pivot coming out of the base here with a good strong volume. See the volume pop here and an up candle. When you see those greater than the down candles, there we go. Overhead resistance, that becomes the buying opportunity. Let's zoom in so you can see that there. We've got the first big green candle here, but it's a down candle, not very great, not showing great strength. But you do have a pocket pivot here. This green candle, as you can see on the horizontal bar at the crosshairs, is higher than any down day in the previous 10 trading days. It's off the 10-day moving average, being that blue line, and away it goes. It's coming out of a basing pattern. and you get a second chance here. It's coming close to that 10-day moving average. Good strong volume. It says it's getting out of here. Overhead resistance is not stacking up. Shares have been absorbed right at the high. The buyers are absorbing what the sellers are putting to market, and then the tide turns. They bolt out of the gates. That's the pocket pivot with the indication of how this trade got away. And we're not going to see the same sort of opportunity here as that base is getting higher and higher in the second congestion. Nonetheless, breaks out, puts on over 100%, tries to be a high and tight flag. You can click on the link on the screen or the description below to go through high and tight flags in more detail. But what they look for is 100% rally in a short amount of time, and then the odds of putting that same rally on top of the breakout point once more. Good trading strategy to have in the quiver if trading small mid-cap Australian listed miners. Where it comes now, throws back into the last breakout level, shows from a Wyckoff Spring perspective the inability to trade lower. Wyckoff Springs, again, click on the link or have a look at the book download in the description below for how to trade that, because we've got a leading stock here, a leading thematic, showing the share price is unable to close down near the low. As it goes through a bit of a rally, the volume dries up on the selling. We're getting lower and lower volume, turns a corner and throws out a hammer. Throws a hammer with the inability to close lower, and then jumps up, gaps above the higher, goes and stays well above it, and then shows it's not getting sold down, and then starts rising on rising volume. We're coming into Christmas Eve here, half-day trading, big candle, big volume for half-day trading. That is a positive move and shows there is buying support. Kicks into the rest of the holiday period and the new year, and away it goes. Putting on almost 100% for that movement. That's Lithenergy, and we can see the Wyckoff Spring in action here, undercutting the previous low with that inability to close lower. Go through that video in detail to get more examples of springs in action, how to trade them. LEL gives way to CDT. Castle Minerals, surfaced this one before. The chart tells you why, moving in good, strong fits and spurts. CDP's put on 9% for the week, 56% for the month, and 107% for the quarter, with 158 or almost 160 for the year. You can see these rallies, fits, churn sideways on that 200-day moving average, being that red line. Breaks out with a spurt, good strong volume as it starts to break out of this base. See this volume? This is early indication that the buying is complete. Inside buyers have picked up their stock. The overhead resistance hasn't been broken. They've done it in an orderly fashion, and they have a few more licks at it before it breaks this overhead resistance and shoots the lights out, with obviously some news surging it on there and some more news pushing it out once more. CDT, number 3 for the month on the graphite shares. RNU. We've got to look at RNU when we're looking at the ASX and graphite-related companies, because Renascor Resources is a trading favourite. It has a strong following online, and we have a look at the 2-year chart to see why. We're going to zoom in to see this first rally that it put on 2020, 2021. You see that huge movement. We're looking at fractions of a cent here, to getting up towards 18 cents. Moving through, you're going to see like a VCP or a rounding pattern here. First drop's huge, second, third, trawls the bottom, comes along sideways under that 50-day moving average, the green line, and then breaks out over it. Has a bit of a throwback in towards that overhead resistance area, and now support. Shows the inability to stay lower, and then it rallies on up. Rallies, holds a higher point, tries to throw back and gets back towards that the rally area before. Consolidates on the 200-day moving average now, getting other traders' interest. And then VCP, 1 contraction, 2 contraction, third is much tighter. Look at these tight closes here with low volume, holiday volume, but low volume, and then breaks out. That is a good, huge rally. That is a pocket pivot right there if you've ever seen one. Huge volume, 10-day moving average, crossing over the 50-day moving average with explosive volume, solid candle, all stacked on top of the 200-day moving average in a leading market thematic graphite stocks. That's the pocket pivot, bang, up it goes. That's what we look for with the Renascor Resources, and that's why it's a trading favourite for many short-term traders on the ASX. First place now goes to XTC. Coming down for the week, you can see the chart. Why? Low capitalised company, low share price, 69% for the month, 160 for the quarter, 138 for the year. Tighter trading, but you do see the volume really coming in October, November, building out, changing hands, and then shooting out with a good strong rally, some news and a trading halt in there for the mix. That's XTC being the top performing graphite related company on the ASX. This is final market points. We're going to have Friday, Saturdays looking at the top momentum companies, which no doubt some of these stocks will be because these charts show huge momentum. We're also going to identify the high velocity companies. So that's where we're identifying companies breaking into these bases, really climbing up the right-hand side. But for the breakout, we want to see the base. That's a high velocity company. That's what we service on the Saturdays, this sort of movement here that we're looking at. We want the base, and the way to identify it is high velocity. This is where you set up the alerts. This is where you look for the 4 tight closes. You look for the pocket pivots, and you set up the buy points, breaking the B wave, as Gary Glover calls it. And that's where the trading alerts, the bells come from to trade intraday, pick them up with a good risk reward strategy. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again later.